Welcome to the Backpacking Bushers podcast. Thank you for joining us. With me today is my co-host, Ben McAuliffe. How's it going today, man?
It's going good. A little sore. I got hit by an animal. Can you guess what animal hit me, Carl?
It sounds like you got in not a car accident, but an animal accident. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we live in a pretty small community, and everybody's reaching out to me saying that my dogs were loose, and my dogs weren't loose. And so I found out they were my neighbor's dogs. And when I say neighbor, they're 7 miles down the road, and these dogs are like 5 miles the opposite direction. So these dogs traveled like 12 miles. Neighbors weren't going to get home till like 8:30 at night in the dark. And I'm like, I'll be the hero. Let me go rescue your dogs. So I drive down the back roads, get to the pasture where these dogs are. They're just laying, trying to guard these sheep. And I get out and I climb the fence over, and I I call for the dogs, and they come running happy. And this is like my maybe second time meeting the dogs. And so as I'm down, like clapping and on my knees, bam, a billy goat just rams me and sends me flying. I get up in time to like run like a bull fighting clown up and over the fence. And the goat's just like sitting there, like wants no piece of me. And so one of the dogs snuck through the gate. I was able to carry him to my truck, and then we met and got the other two dogs. But guess where the dog wound up? That's in the back of my truck.
Back at his house.
No, it's in my goat pasture now. So yeah.
You stole the dog.
More or less, I think they gave it to me because they felt bad. I got attacked by a goat, and we've been wanting a dog to protect our goats. And so we wound up keeping the dog, and they were very happy. But yeah, the owner gave me a hug, like, "Oh, you're taking the dog? Thank you." And I'm like, what's wrong with this dog? Because they're so
You live in a very different place than I live. For those of you who don't know, Ben's job is a shepherd. So that's why he's talking about all these animals here.
Yeah.
Okay. Completely unrelated to our podcast title. I like the story. Don't get me wrong. We've got Alice Ford. She is a TV travel host. She is a backpacker. We're going to call her an ultralight extremist because she put out a video where she brought only her Daypack and stayed overnight in the mountains. So we've got her coming up on this episode. You ready for this?
I'd say she's an expert. Yeah. Alice, the expert.
Alice, the expert. All right. So this one is brought to you by Lighten Equipment. We have the honor of being the flagship podcast for Lighten Equipment. If you're looking for ultralight custom quilts that can help you get your base weight down, then go to enlightenequipment.com. And yeah, we're going to get to Alice here in a moment. But first, Ben, you got the Bible verse for the episode?
I do. It is 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. I feel like every time we hike, we walk by faith sometimes, not by sight when we get lost. So, Carl, what's the time that you walked more by faith and not by sight?
Wait, are you suggesting that Alice got lost on her trip? I'm trying to connect the dots here.
Yeah, it's walking by faith. So sometimes, you're just kind of stuck and stranded, and you're like, all right, I got to go on because I can't turn back. And I think it's happened to most of us in the backpacking, hiking world.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, the story that comes to mind is from a few years ago where there's a guy who kind of shot ahead of us, and he got to our zone, like where we were going to camp around these lakes. But before I found him, there was all these areas that he could have camped in, and he was a newer backpacker. So I didn't know if he knew to leave like his pack next to the trail. And then there was this massive descent, and I had to decide, should I trust that if he camped up here, he'd give me some sort of sign, and should I descend? And this is like at the end of a long, I want to say like a 15 or 16 mile day. And so I descended. I was like, every step down the hill, I was like, please don't make me walk back up this hill. Please don't. And thank the Lord, he was like around the corner and it had already got like a fire going. It was one of the beautiful backpacking sites. But I feel like I was walking by faith for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, you think they'd leave a note, or like not a note on the trail, but like sticks or something, like
well, experienced backpackers would, but he was a newer backpacker, so I didn't know if he would know to do that. Yeah.
Okay. Did you talk to him like next time leave stones? Or
he didn't need to because he was. I mean, he literally like had. I just kept. He stopped in an inappropriate spot basically, so I was just
gotcha.
I don't know. My own anxieties were playing out, I suppose, but yeah, it worked out.
So. I always make the mistake where if I'm going to go down, I'm like, I don't want to carry my backpack back up. So I'll leave my backpack
Right.
up, go down and check them, and then be like, now I gotta get my backpack.
Right,
So,
right. And you're still climbing back up, even though it's without the backpack. But yeah, I'm with you.
right.
So, but you know what? We're gonna hear about Alice's mistakes, because I think that she regretted some of the decisions she made with her escapade, bringing only a day pack, and what we can learn
Right.
from her. And obviously, she's got some stories to tell because she literally travels all over the world. So we've got that coming up right now. With us today is a woman who's been all over the world. She's a risk-taking solo backpacker, a stunt woman, a filmmaker. Alice Ford, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys? Good to see you both.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on the show. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. I love it. One of my favorite Monday night adventures.
All right, Ben, I'm kicking the first question to you. What do you got?
Yeah. So Alice, what are you most famous for?
Oh my gosh, so many things. Mostly for being a stunt woman, but I'm also a YouTuber, filmmaker, and have a television travel show on PBS stations in the Pacific Northwest. So I love inspiring people to go out and do hard, challenging hiking, backpacking, exploring all over the world, a lot of national parks in the US. And people can find that over on my YouTube channel. And you can see me in movies and TV shows too.
Being a stunt woman, I know that that's kind of, I don't know if you want to call it your day job or whatever, but what's the biggest trail stunt that you've ever done?
Ooh, trail stunt. I fall down a lot on my hikes. I mean, I don't try to, but at least I have loose ankles, so that helps.
Flexible ankles.
Yeah.
So we had a guy on who's talking about how he watched the movie Cliffhanger, and he learned from Sylvester Stallone how to basically cross a crevasse, where he's just like, I have to have my ice axes out. Is that the kind of stuff you're doing?
Yeah, I've done a little bit of that, like on Cotopaxi in Ecuador. And I've also done a bunch of Via Ferratas. So I don't know if we talked in a past episode about my trip to the Dolomites, but I did a bunch of, self-guided Via Ferratas in the Dolomites. And one was incredibly scary. That was I thought it was going to be cables and places to clip in the whole way. And it ended up being only a third of the way was had cables, and a lot of them had fallen apart or weren't there anymore. And it was extremely, it was one of the more challenging. So there's a rating system for Via Ferratas. And it was one of the more challenging ones. And I thought going into it, oh, okay, cool. It's just going to be there's going to be ladders on the side of the rocks and more challenging terrain. But I didn't think it would be just devoid of any sort of safety stuff. So, and I almost
but you pushed on. You didn't see, you're like, there's supposed to be a cable here. It looks like there was one before. I'm not even a third of the way. It's fine. Just keep going,
at what point are you do I even want to clip into this cable, because it's false security at that point?
Well, I'll tell you what, I almost didn't even start it because I got to the bottom, and the first just the first 30 feet was totally cliffed off. You could tell that there used to be a cable, and it was a total drop off 400 feet on one side, a really crumbly angled slope, and then there was one little handle, but you had to get to it. So right. and I was just terrified that okay, I'm gonna get there and then there's gonna be nothing ahead, and I'm gonna be too afraid to go turn around, and then I'm gonna be stuck. So I thought that for a while, and I sat there for a long time, and then finally someone came up the trail, and I was like, are you doing the Via Ferrata? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna follow you. And so I had a little courage from a stranger.
That's right.
So do you carry a in reach at that point where you I might have to hit the red button? And
no, because I was actually only maybe a quarter of a mile from my hut that I was staying in that night. And so I wasn't up the mountain yet. It was still the point of I could, not the point of no return yet, but had I made it to that first, place to grab onto with my hand, that would have been in my mind, the point of no return, where I would have been okay, well, I have to either keep going or die.
Right.
Two options. So Speaking of all your adventures, you recently got back from Africa. Where did you go? And like, what did you do on the adventure?
Yeah, I spent 12 days in Uganda or
Nice.
Uganda, as they say it there.
Yeah.
And I basically circumnavigated most of the country. So we road tripped from Entebbe, which is kind of the main place that you fly into, and then basically drove like to the northwest corner and then all the way down to the south, visiting a bunch of national parks. I spent an entire day on the Nile, which actually starts in Uganda, which most people do not know. And then went to see the chimpanzees, trekked out to see the chimpanzees, trekked out to see the gorillas, horseback riding with giraffes was really
awesome.
cool. And then I spent
wait, you rode on a giraffe?
No, I did horseback riding with the giraffes.
Oh, with the giraffes. Okay, and did you get your hands on the gorillas or the chimpanzees?
No, but two chimpanzees did like bum rush me right when we entered the forest.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Did you now in Uganda, they don't believe, like not believe, but they don't really get sarcasm out there. So it's hard to communicate sometimes. Did you find that tricky when you like make a joke and they're like, what? Because I've been out there and like we were joking around, like, you know, just being Americans, and we're like, hey, can you take us across the street, you know, for a taxi ride? And they're like, sure. And they fire up their like Boda motorcycle, you know, taxi. And yeah, you can't mess around with them. So I don't know if you had any of those adventures, but
I think more so it was just the, you know, like English is one of the main languages of Uganda, but most people don't really understand Americans, I think, when they speak English, because they're used to speaking their native languages. So there was a lot of, I think, that like kind of like, wait, I thought do you speak English or do you not speak English? Because like they would like say a few words to you and you're like, oh, okay. But then you would ask something and then they would have no idea what you were talking about. I mean, one of the national
she gets it, Carl. Come on, keep up with
this. We were
us.
on a riverboat cruise and my friend came with me to help me kind of like film stuff. And so we had been basically by ourselves the first like 5-6 days. And like we ended up on this boat with a bunch of tourists, several American women, and they kept asking the driver of the boat like questions, and he would answer, and they like did not understand anything he was saying. And I would just be like, blah 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 blah, and she was like like I would answer for him. I would be like, let me tell you again since you don't get it. And then she was like, do you live here? How do you know all this? How do you understand?
I speak English.
I was like, because I'm listening.
Yeah, right.
So you're like a fake tour guide, almost like an imposter tour guide on a boat, right?
I just don't.
Almost like,
it's, and I'm sure you guys are the same way when you travel and you see like bad Americans traveling. It really like irks me. And like, of course,
I'm usually one of the bad Americans. So.
They're like yelling and that hippo's like my ex-husband.
Oh my gosh! And they don't get sarcasm, so they actually think like their husband's like that big. You know? Like,
the closest thing I had was when I lived in Australia for a year, and I made some of the best friends ever when I was down there. But I was constantly told that I wasn't a typical American, and then as part of like our church group, some other American guy came in for, I don't know, a couple meetings or whatever. I think he was like at a camp out or something. And he was a little bit more on the obnoxious side. And they're like, that's the typical American right there. I was like, really? Not my friends.
We're all good, I swear. You recently went on an overnight backpacking trip and brought only a Daypack. Why did you bring a Daypack? And what did you leave behind?
Oh my gosh, can't read the question.
Yeah, so the crazy thing with YouTube, I feel like there's a two-part answer to this as to why I did this. But, you know, I think with YouTube, you have to kind of make these videos that spark this, like, what did she do? Or did you make it? Did you die? Is it dangerous? Like, you kind of have to like create some sort of, you know, something. I guess that's clickbaity. And so, but I also like, there's been this huge ultralight movement, right, over the last couple of years. And some people are super into it. I've never really been an ultralight backpacker, but that's because like I'm a filmmaker. So for me, it's like really difficult to go ultralight because I'm bringing cameras and I'm bringing batteries and a drone. And I also like to be comfortable and like, have a pillow and not be cold at night.
Yes.
So for me, like those two things, but I also like in the vein of like, I always need to like challenge myself to doing something that's outside my comfort zone. And I
Nice.
wasn't sure. I was like, what would happen if I was hiking during the day, something happened and I had to survive overnight? Could I, how comfortable would I be with just the things that I bring in my day bag? And so I did add like a few things that are not normally in there, but what I brought was just like my normal first aid kit, water. I had like a sandwich that I had gotten in the town that afternoon, and like maybe one granola bar. I brought my water filter and a sleeping bag liner, and also my emergency bivy sack, which is like in my first aid kit. Not the sleeping bag liner, but the bivy sack is in my first aid kit, and it's like always in my backpack. And then I just wore like my regular hiking outfit, and I brought like the normal layers I would bring for like those conditions, which I think I had like a raincoat and like a fleece jacket and whatever I was wearing. So that's what I brought. Oh, I also brought a pillow. So that was
so you prepared to sleep.
Normally
That's
bring
the problem,
that.
is you were prepared.
I don't. So the things that I brought that I would not normally have were the pillow and the sleeping bag liner.
Okay.
But it was still like miserable, and I had a hammock as well. So
Okay.
I had a few things, but like that's not normally what I would ever have backpacking.
Right.
So
you gotta be comfortable when you're, pretending to be stranded overnight.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, because sometimes I do have a hammock, and I know there's definitely like a huge crowd of hikers that carry a hammock, because I like see people all the time that are like in a national park and they're in the hammock by the waterfall, and they're just like, I'm like, okay. I guess that's who I am today for this video. The hammock.
The hammock by the waterfall. That sounds very tempting to be like, I'm not going to say it, but that's a dangerous place to be. Hammock by the waterfall. I'll just say that.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I brought. My backpack was super light. It was like the lightest it's ever been. And I would say like the one thing that I was like, the one great thing was the backpack weight. Because I was like, wow, it is so nice.
Right.
To not have my huge pack and be spending the night out in the woods. So that was really nice. And if you've watched the video, because this video is on YouTube, like the night was miserable. It got down to maybe like high 30s, low 40s at night.
Right.
And they ended up like putting my hammock like right by a lake, because it was beautiful. And I felt
beautiful. Yeah.
But that was probably the worst place for me to set up camp. But because like obviously the lake makes it colder. So I was freezing, and I was in a hammock. So like, of course, like you just have cold air everywhere. The bivy sack really didn't do anything. I felt like I was just like shivering for like 4 hours straight. And then you're like, and then you get wet from the condensation. So then you're like shivering and you're wet, and you're like, cool, I can't wait for the sun to come up.
Right. So, okay. But you had the hammock, you had the bivy sack, which is just like the little crinkly, like space blanket thing. Yeah. And then you had the liner, and then you had your layers of clothes, and that was insufficient, you're saying?
Totally insufficient. Like I'm a person that gets cold sleeping. So like when I go backpacking, I take I usually bring a top quilt, because that's like what I like for me, for it's just the most comfortable. I sleep in my side a lot. I have a sleeping bag liner that I always have with the top quilt, and then obviously a sleeping pad. So, and my top quilt I think is rated to like 0 Fahrenheit. So it's like really warm. And sometimes even in that I'm cold. So
okay.
So yeah. So going out there with just the very limited supplies, I was freezing.
Okay.
Is it because you brought one granola bar? Like if you brought another one, it would have given you a little more like energy and prepared you for the cold, like
fuel. Yeah.
Well, I didn't have much to eat. So I had a half a sandwich basically before I went in my hammock. And so I think, when you have a stove, you're like, oh, I can have something hot to drink or hot food or whatever. And so not having that either, I think definitely like puts your body in a harder place than it would normally be in if you had, hot food. So, but it was nice not to carry my stove.
I carry Carl's store for him, so he understands that.
Yeah. And it's so funny too, because when you have like your stove and you're cooking, there's like so much to do when you get to camp. And then I also was just like, what should I do with myself?
Yeah, because you're by yourself, you're solo, right? You're not.
Right. So how many days of alone do you think you can make it now? Like,
I'd be so bored. I think the boredom would kill me first.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do. Like I even like at the lake, I was like, oh, I built like a hanger. I hung my backpack and like all my stuff on hooks. I built like a little windshield on one side. I was like, I mean, I guess I could go try to find like bigger pieces of wood and like make a more of a shelter. But
it sounds like you're asking us a question. Like what you're asking us, like, okay, Ben and Carl, do you have suggestions for me when I'm going so ultralight that I've actually like cut down on my camp chores? What's left to do, especially when you're going solo? I don't know. I've got like, just off the top of my head, I'm thinking like you're next to a lake, so you got sand castles on the shore. You've got, if you're part of a group, or if you can like weasel your way into an existing group, like we've done backpacking Jeopardy. So set up the games, and it's ultralight. It is not heavy to bring that thing along. We can teach you. Ben, what do you got?
I was thinking like skipping rocks, building a fire, like looking for Sasquatch.
I wasn't allowed to have a fire. It was a no fire zone. But I guess I could
Jeopardy...
have like built a fishing pole.
Yeah, there you go.
Or
a bushcrafted shelter.
Hands,
right.
Practice stunts like falling down, mountains.
Practice stunts. Recover.
Do you ever just like go backpacking and do like a judo roll? Like are you like?
That's right.
I gotta practice. Haven't done this for a while.
Yeah.
In the winter, I definitely do that.
Okay. Well, for the sake of this episode, we're calling you an ultralight extremist, because if you're getting away like legitimately backpacking with a day pack and maybe like a couple extras, I think that fits the bill. So you kind of alluded to a couple things, but if you could sum up what you learned in your experience with 3 tips for other people who are inspired by you to be an ultralight extremist, what tips do you have for us?
I think definitely you need to figure out like what your like necessities are for comfort, like, and how it also depends on, I think, how many days you're backpacking too. Like obviously if you're doing an overnight, there's a lot of things that you can skimp on. Like my first ever backpacking trip when I did Long's Peak, I brought a sandwich and a thermos that already had coffee in it for the next day.
Right.
So that I didn't need
That's a really hard hike, by the way. That's not an easy first overnighter. People die on that hike every year.
I know. A lot of people.
Yeah.
But like, so like, I guess it depends. Like, are you someone that needs to be comfortable sleeping? Do you get cold, or do you have to have a hot meal? Like, or, and I think like, those would be like the main questions. I think once you figure that out, you can be like, okay, I don't need these things and I do need those things. I also think cutting down your first aid kit, depending on like where you're going, is always an easy way to like leave some weight out. Cause like my normal first aid kit is like 6 by 8. It's big. I've almost never actually used anything in my first aid kit outside of like tape and maybe like, I don't even know. Chapstick.
Like a one Band-Aid. Yeah. Chapstick. Yeah.
So
chapstick's usually in your pocket anyways.
True.
It's not really in the first aid.
Yeah. So there's very few things I've ever used in my first aid kit. But like obviously on this trip I used my space blanket. But always have like your 10 essentials, but like pare them down. And then I think if you're someone that sleeps hot or doesn't need a lot of layers, like you can minimize the amount of clothes that you bring. You can also minimize what you're bringing for sleeping. Like instead of bringing a pillow, if you bring a teeny tiny stuff sack, you can put your jacket inside of that. So there's lots of ways where you can kind of skimp on things.
Okay.
What if you have like 40 essential items? What do you do then?
The 40 essentials.
Well, this is what I do, because this is also how I pack when I go on trips. I literally take everything out that I think I want. And like my boyfriend is always like, you take like 4 days to pack. I'm like, I know, because
Right.
I have to take everything out. I need to look at it. I need to pack it. Then I unpack it. And then I'm like, do I need this? No, I don't need that. That can go away. No, I don't need that. And then I repack it again. And then I'm like, okay, we're good. So I think, and I do that with my backpack, honestly, sometimes too. I'm like, do I really need that? I mean, I take an extra, normally when I'm taking my big backpack, I will take like 2 of everything. I'm like, well, just in case this headlight dies, I should bring another one. Just in case this light for my tent dies, I should also bring a lantern. And I always have those. So I've really gone from really overpacking to like really trying to get down to the ultralight, because I think for me too, seeing how these ultralight guys and gals do it, I'm always like, how do they do that? How do they have so little? So I think that was really kind of the spirit of this video, to be like, do I really need all the things that I usually bring? No, I don't.
Right.
I'd be fine with a little pop-up shelter, or maybe not even a shelter, a hammock and my top quilt, and that's probably fine.
If I could take an ounce of your packing enthusiasm, just like a scoop of it, and just give it to Ben, he probably shaved like 10 pounds off his pack. No joke. Just like a little.
Well, I brought coffee, enough for everybody, and like a coffee maker, and 4 water bottles filled with water. So I had good water for the coffee. So I don't see what's wrong.
That doesn't relate. We're talking about getting rid of stuff, and you're defending yourself. So that's not the same.
Oh, I know, because I couldn't get. I mean, it's essential.
A good water filter. You don't need any bottled water. As long as there's,
when it comes
as
to
long as
coffee,
there's a streamer.
Okay, so you're talking about meticulously packing, and so Ben and some of the other guys that I go with, their strategy is, I might use one of these, I'll throw in the whole package. Like they'll just kind of, it's the opposite. They're just chucking stuff in. That's why I say, an ounce of your enthusiasm. But
right, yeah, like
beside
instead of bringing 1 granola bar, I would have just brought the whole box.
All right, so you do a variety of videos on your YouTube channel. You go travel stuff, you go adventure level, you do all sorts of things. So I've got 3 YouTube suggestions for you. My question is, which one of these suggestions would you most likely make?
Okay.
And if you want to take one and make one, then we would be honored. All right, so here you go. 3. A solo backpacker invites one of her subscribers on a trip and has to talk to them and the camera. Can she do it? Whoa. B, I find the most remote spot in the world and press the SOS button to see if it works. C, I backpack in Bigfoot country while wearing an apple necklace and holding a shaky camera.
Most likely.
Wait, Carl, are you? Yeah, sorry, Carl, are you a subscriber? I just want to ask.
Yeah.
Okay, just check.
That's not for me. I'm just saying in general. She's got like 70,000 subscribers, or I don't know, 100,000. I don't know where you're at right now. Yeah, a lot.
Probably C, Sasquatch with an apple necklace.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know if you know, but the Sasquatch, they like the apples, they're attracted to them. So you're kind of creating yourself as bait, essentially.
I get a lot of Sasquatch enthusiasts on the channel. So
really, wait, tell us about that.
People often ask in comments if I saw Sasquatch on my hikes. So I think they're
unrelated.
Have you come close
to the topic of the video?
Close, though?
What?
Wait, no. So your video's on like such and such trail in the Pacific Northwest. You don't mention Sasquatch at all, and that's a comment you get.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
And do you feel like you've come close though?
Hard to say. I mean, I'm sure they've seen me, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's believable. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've definitely had the hair on the back of my neck stand up while hiking and been like,
ooh, okay.
Where is the exit to this trail?
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So we been doing this lightning round challenge with our recent guests, and we are going to give you 1 minute to answer as many questions as we can throw at you.
Okay.
Right now, the leader is at 9. So answering 9 questions. We do I don't think it's going to be you, but we do anticipate at some point Like we'll have a guest who doesn't even get through one, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I don't think it's going to be you winning. So don't even try.
I'm not, that's not very nice, Ben. So, so the timer starts after Ben asks the first question. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right.
I'm all ears.
Ready? All right. Coffee or sweet tea?
Coffee.
What's your favorite backpack?
My Shimoda.
Favorite knife?
Gerber.
What's your longest day ever on trail?
15 hours.
How many carabiners do you bring on a trip?
4.
Which mythical creature do you wish existed?
Unicorns.
Oh, favorite place to travel?
Patagonia.
Which movie character is closest to your personality and life?
Lara Croft.
One item you have to bring.
Pillow.
What is 3 times 6 plus 2?
A 20.
Correct.
Favorite backpacking gear?
Anything that's cool.
Is Snickers an energy bar or a candy bar?
Candy bar.
And time. You got a lot in
Wow.
there. All right, Ben, how many questions do you get?
I got 6.
And I got 6. You are the current leader at 12. Wow.
Great.
Wow. Not messing around. She's just answering questions.
She was
No
quick.
pausing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, okay.
So have we decided
Anyway-
what the prizes yet, Carl?
We got a care package. We'll get back to that later. we still got some time, so we'll figure it out. But I think 12 is gonna be hard to beat, personally. So
Yeah.
what? Yeah, any
Gotta go
takeaways from her?
Up first.
Yeah, that was good. It was like a game show. Yeah. Ben, any takeaways from her answers?
Yeah, carabiners. Let's discuss that because
Okay.
it's a very popular, controversial item on our show.
Right.
A lot of people are either for it or against it, and you bring 4, so you must really like carabiners.
I do love carabiners. They do not only make you look cooler, but
Well, we can disagree on that. Okay.
There's a theme of coolness going on with her answers too. By
they
the
just
way.
make you look more legit while you're on the trail. Like, ooh,
Yeah.
are you a climber? Ooh, you must be really experienced. That's right. I have a carabiner.
You're like swinging it around, like, hey.
You must be really experienced. You have a carabiner is one of the best lines ever on our podcast. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
Because I think we said the opposite, right? We're like, who's bringing carabiners? Apparently everybody
like
except for us.
Well, because we actually said they want to be wannabe hikers. Like they're like, look at us, got carabiners. We're like pretend to be hikers. So yeah.
But you have, I think that's like you had one on your shoulder strap that was connected to your camera, right?
Yeah, I put like, I connect one to my camera because like a lot of people use that come on brain, that like camera capture clip by Peak Designs.
Yeah.
I find that that's like not the sauce for me. So for me, I connect it to a carabiner and I have it in the little key ring on the side of my camera, and it's much more easy for me to get it on and off. And then I like, depending on the backpacking trip, I'll put all my batteries and camera accessories in a little bag and I'll carabiner that to the outside of my backpack so that I don't have to open my bag. It's like an extra fanny pack, so to speak, that's just like hanging on the side or on the back, and I can just like reach to the back and grab it and pull it around.
Gotcha.
So it's just sitting there like going back and forth while you walk and just annoying everybody.
Well,
like,
but I have like 2, so I do like one on the top, one on the bottom. So it
doesn't. Okay.
And I have it on like an accessory carabiner, you know, with the little thing in the middle. But yeah.
So she carries 2 carabiners for one item.
Yeah. But I just use them for a variety of stuff. And they're like handy. You never know what you might need one for.
You never know, Ben. Come on. You're better than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
God forbid someone falls off a cliff and you need to like rescue them, you know.
Right. I've got this. And you just start assembling all your carabiners. You don't even need rope. You just use all your carabiners together and climb on down. Yeah.
They're strong enough. All right. So you mentioned that you would like to have a unicorn exist, but you refuse to ride giraffes or hug orangutans when you had the opportunity in Africa. So what are you going to do with a unicorn?
I don't know. Look at it and say, "Oh my gosh, you're so pretty."
Look at it. Okay.
Okay.
I'll tell you
what color is this unicorn?
Right, with a rainbow horn, of course.
Of course. Of course.
Of course.
Now, you're very popular on YouTube, on TV, just wherever. But if you want to up the views exponentially, you got to get your hands on these animals here. Like that'll definitely up the game. Just like humble advice from somebody who doesn't know any better.
Just start wrangling them. Ostriches, ostriches are very popular to try to catch. So.
That's
actually
right.
On my list of bucket list experiences is to do an ostrich race.
Oh gosh.
Okay, that would be.
How long?
I don't even know. You just titled the video. I did an
days?
ostrich race, and that would be enough, I think.
Yeah, I have this list of really weird races and events all around the world that I'd love to do at some point as a series for YouTube. But
Right.
I haven't gotten into it yet, but it's on the idea.
Okay.
It's coming.
Me and Carl will be jockeys next to you.
Excellent.
We'll all do it together and ride our
Jockeys.
ostriches.
Ostrich jockeys.
Is that what, I don't know what are they called for
I don't know
ostriches?
what they're called. I don't know.
We had to come up with a word.
All right. So Alice, bring it back to backpacking. What's the biggest solo backpacking mistake you've made, and then how did you overcome that? So yeah,
We talked about a few, but yeah, overall, whether it's as an ultralight extremist or not.
I think probably backpack fit and how I arrange things in my bag. That took me a while to kind of get down so that it's comfortable, because as you guys know, if you put depending on how you arrange things with heavy and light and stuff, it can really affect how the bag feels on your pack. And I think Carl knows this. A couple years ago I had a shoulder surgery, and since then I have my collarbone has a bone spur in it basically. So and it's right where my backpack sits. So now it's way more uncomfortable for me to have my a lot of different backpacks. And the backpack that I used to like the best, which was this decathlon bag, now that one really hurts if I use it. So yeah, definitely I think finding a backpack that works. And for anyone that's watched my channel for a long time, they've seen me with a variety of backpacks. Sometimes I have a backpacking backpack, and sometimes I have my camera bag, which does not make a good backpacking bag. That's what I took on Long's Peak. And I had literally, I think Carl and I have talked about this before, I had nothing fit inside the bag. So everything was just strapped. The bag, the tent, outside, the
with
bear
carabiners
on the top. It was a mess.
Yeah, well, carabiners are everywhere.
Yeah.
There was 20 carabiners just holding the pack together.
That's right.
Probably the mesh cargo net from my truck.
It just sounds like you need to invent the biggest fanny pack ever and just have that. That would solve your problems.
Right.
Wouldn't hold enough. That'd be hard. I need the ultimate cargo pants or something. Or one of those fishing vests where you just it just holds more and
just everywhere.
Oh you're giving me ideas for videos right now, just how to backpack without a backpack, basically, right?
That'd be actually pretty good.
That's actually a really good idea. Okay, fishing vest, cargo pants. What is the capacity of those two things combined? Is that enough for 20 liters worth of stuff? I don't know. Ultralight. All right. Okay, so for those who haven't seen you on TV or on YouTube yet, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Alice Ford Adventures. And then I'm on KSPS in the Pacific Northwest. My next season starts in January. So if you live up in that area, you'll see it on KSPS in January.
That's awesome.
Nice.
We'll have links in our show description, but so can we look forward to some videos you got upcoming about your Africa experience? Is that what's coming up next on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so Uganda came out yesterday. So if anyone wants to watch that, it's a longer episode. It's about 35 minutes. The whole experience, all 12 days. So you'll see chimpanzees, gorillas, lots of giraffes and elephants. It was a really amazing trip. And then next video coming up is going to be from my stay with the indigenous tribe in Tanzania. They're the last hunter-gatherers in Africa.
Oh, wow.
And I spent 5 nights out in the bush with them. So it was a really interesting experience. I mean, I went hunting with them, gathering for food, and to the
I
water.
want to watch that one for sure. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they have hammocks by any chance?
No, they sleep just usually kind of out in the open. They have like little kind of enclosed areas where they sleep that are a little bit more protected. And then there are some huts that they sleep in during the rainy season.
Okay.
So we had hyenas in camp like 2 nights in a row. So
Oh gosh.
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Were they scheming with a lion to do some bad stuff?
I was trying not to make a Lion King reference, Carl. I was like, Carl's gonna get mad if I make a Lion King reference right now, and he goes and does it.
Yeah, and an really interesting thing about the hyenas is that these people, like when someone dies from their village, they'll put the bodies out in the bush, and hyenas will eat them. And so they couldn't kill the hyena when it came to camp because to them, the spirits of their ancestors are in the hyenas.
Okay. Wow. That is crazy. That interesting. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to these videos for sure. Alice, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show. It is an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It's always fun to come and chat with you guys.
All right, Ben. Man, Alice, so much fun to have on the show. Always an honor and pleasure to have her on the show. What did you think? Takeaways, thoughts, things we learned here?
She's been everywhere. Like every time she talks, she's like, "Oh, when I was here," and I'm like, "Wait, I want to learn about that place and that place and that place."
Yeah.
But we don't have like 4 hours to unpack everything. So it was good. First time meeting her, she definitely has been everywhere. So it was good.
She has.
How about you?
Yeah, when I was doing kind of my ideas for like what she could have on our YouTube channel, I thought of that. I was like, she's been everywhere, so I can't say, petting penguins in Antarctica because she's already had that opportunity. So
Right.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. So she did cheat a little bit with her overnighter because she brought some things that typically you wouldn't have in a day pack. Like you're not going to typically have that unless you really think there's a risk that you're going to be spending the night out. Maybe you're taking a really long hike and you're not sure about your fitness or something like that. But for the most part, I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, or a nap. Some people do that, right? But for the most part, I think that's what happens though, is if you end up getting caught out in an overnight, I think you're going to be cold. Like you're just going to have a cold night.
Yeah. And I mean, she's going to do a fire, but she's by a lake, maybe there's shelter elsewhere. She was on a hammock. So it sounds like some of that she just didn't think through. Like it was like, oh, it's beautiful. I want to get the glamour shot here. And then regretted it at like 3 a.m.
Yeah, which is fine. Like everybody makes that mistake. But wouldn't you agree if you're really suffering, if you're really cold and you're in like a fire ban zone, but it's kind of life or death, wouldn't you just carefully make a fire?
I don't know if I would.
Like you'd rather die
in
than
Northern California. There's been a lot of fires in the fire season. But I think if I'm like miserable and awake, like maybe I would just try to start walking. Like if I knew there was a trail, maybe, and that's probably stupid because you're going to, get lost. But if I'm already lost, like at least I feel like I'm doing something. So
Wait, now you're adding to the scenario. I'm going to get lost, but maybe I'm already lost. I guess that could happen if you're out there.
Yeah, I don't know the scenario that like I'm stuck. Like
we didn't talk about it.
If you're up, maybe I just find a landmark and just like, all right, I'm gonna just keep walking that way, or put a point on my compass and go that way. But yeah, I don't know. But the pillow is something that surprised me.
I said carefully make a fire. So I think if it's life or death and you're not sure where you're going, you don't want to get further, more lost, especially if you're off trail, maybe you lost the trail. I think that you just make a campfire. And then if somebody catches you, they're like, we got you. You're in trouble. You're also saved because now they found you, right? If you're lost.
Right. And then you get 3 hot meals being in prison. So it's good.
In prison for making a safe fire. And I guess during a fire, I don't know what it is in California. Yeah. I don't, do they imprison people in California still?
This might be too controversial.
I know you can steal cars.
I know they don't in Oregon
now. Yeah, you can, like, stealing cars is allowed, at least in Northern California. Oh my gosh. I know it's
Oh my
controversial. Sorry if that offends anybody.
Yeah.
But that's what I know somebody who's had their car stolen twice and that person did not stay in jail. So that's how it goes.
Oh,
Oh my
interesting. Didn't
gosh.
know that.
I think that's happening in Colorado now too. But anyway, all right.
Oh.
We got trivia. We got day hiking trivia coming up right after this. The trail is calling your name. Are you ready? Are you really ready? Our good friend Roan from Summit Strength can get you trail ready. Roan uses rock solid evidence to design a specialized training program just for you. There are plenty of cookie cutter programs out there that will get you only halfway up the mountain. Make it to your adventure summit with Summit Strength. The link to your success is always in our episode description, but you can check out all the information you need at summitstrength.com.au/online. It's time to be strong and pain-free for your next adventure. Day hiking trivia is brought to us by Teton. And as I mentioned, we got a giveaway from Teton. It's the Signal 65 backpack. I'm going to tell you all about that in the tidbit section. But yeah, you have an opportunity to win that this week. All right, here we go. You ready for this, Ben?
All right. Yeah, always. Are there names?
Always.
Are there names? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I forgot the name question.
Oh,
no, there's not
darn
one.
it.
I blew it. Okay. All right.
Wow.
Number 1, which of the following is not one of the 10 day hiking essentials? A, sunscreen, B, lip balm, C, matches, or D, waterproof jacket?
For day hikes, probably the matches, because you don't really need those, right? Because you're day hiking. I mean, if it's my backpack, I wouldn't need anything because I don't bring backpacks day hiking. So we'll go with matches.
Okay. Matches is incorrect. An emergency situation that we literally just talked about, where you might want a heat source, you want to have some matches. So it is lip balm, not an
Lip balm.
10 essential. Yeah.
So, for a day pack, so you'd bring matches on a day hike.
I think the 10 essentials are weird, but so I'm just telling you what's typically in the 10 essentials.
Where'd you get this?
Like
10 ridiculous essential items you need while you're backpacking is .com or what? Like
it might actually be that you're correct. Yes.
All right.
10 essential. If you look at any 10 essential list, they have a heat source. Matches. So,
yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. Okay.
Too bad. Number 2, true or false?
Okay.
A day hike can last 23 hours so long as you don't stop to sleep.
Oh, I would think so. I mean, you're continuing to walk, so yeah, let's go with that. True.
True is correct. Yeah, technically 24 hours a day. So if you're just hiking constantly for 23 hours, that works.
And that's what I was thinking, but then I'm like, well, this is Carl. He probably is like, no, Ben, actually days from sunrise to sunset. So you're wrong. But no, you actually were fair this time. So thank you.
Yeah, you're fair. This one time. Number 3, which of the following is not part of a fake ranger's outfit when day hiking? And I'm not talking about you playing the fake ranger. I'm talking about the people that we encounter on the trail who legitimately look like rangers. Okay. All right. So which one's not part of their outfit? A, olive or tan colored clothing. B, pants instead of shorts. C, a wide brimmed hat. Or D, trail running shoes.
I would think trail running shoes wouldn't be part of it.
What would you think they would be wearing instead?
Boots. Like hiking boots, right?
Correct, Ben. You passed trivia. Congratulations.
Woo!
Yeah, they're not wearing.
Yeah,
they're typically wearing over aggressive boots. Boots that maybe you could wear mountaineering. They're wearing on the trail. So if that's you, we come across these folks all the time. If that's you, it's time to mix up your outfits. Just saying.
I think people should send us pictures of them in their hiking fake ranger outfits that they think are real.
There was one we came across in Teton National Park where like a bunch of people just look like fake rangers. Like they actually had the name badges and everything. And then I was like, okay, you guys aren't rangers. There's something going on here. They're like, oh, we're like official volunteers. So they get a pass.
So they were like, okay, so they're sworn in rangers? Like they do that?
Volunteers are not rangers. Those are not the same thing, right?
I don't know, but they're sworn in, right? Like how
you're making up stuff and then asking me
What?
if that's it. I didn't say sworn in. What are you talking about? They're not
You're
sworn
like, they're
in.
rangers, but they're volunteer rangers, right?
I didn't say. I said they had name tags, but they're just
Okay.
volunteers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they weren't nothing. You were talking about rangers and like, I saw volunteers that were rangers. And
No.
so, yeah.
All right. I'll go back and listen, but I'm pretty sure you're making up stuff and pretending it's real. So I'll check. A couple tidbits. First tidbit is we got a recent review by Darcy. Thank you for the review. If you would like some B&B stickers sent your way, please reach out with your address. Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate it. And then it's time for the Signal 65 backpack giveaway. You ready for this?
Ooh, I'm ready.
Okay. So I got the description for you to kind of for the bill up here. It's the innovative AccuFit back panel combined with the Wishbone waist belt allows for customability to your body like you've never seen, ensuring a perfect fit every time. So it's very customizable, adjustable. So they say don't spare a second worrying about your gear. The Signal backpack has you covered with its durable coated fabric and built-in rain cover for complete water resistance.
Oh,
Right,
I thought they were going to like, don't worry about your gear. You can fit it all into our backpack. I was like, oh, this is my
That's
backpack.
right, without carabiners. No carabiners allowed.
Right.
Or
No
required.
carabiners needed.
All right, Ben, we didn't actually talk about this. So I'm putting you on the spot here. So, okay, what we've done so far in order to win is you had to have like left us a review on Apple. You had to have commented on a YouTube video. What do we got?
Right.
How do they qualify for this giveaway?
Oh, I like pictures. Like I'm one, and we haven't got that yet. So I think on the Facebook or email, however you want to send us a picture of you backpacking, and we'll put it up on one of our upcoming YouTube channels. We'll just have a random picture show up, and maybe we won't even explain it. It'll just be there, and you can tell all your friends you're on a podcast.
Okay, so you're saying
captions,
that they have to be willing to have their picture published on one of our socials.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You know, and one person did milk and cookies while they watched us, and I'm fine with that. Like if you just want to do a random picture, but I think send us a picture. Send us something.
You can't go back on your criteria. It's got to be backpacking.
Okay, backpacking. Let's go. Backpacking picture.
Okay. The more fun, the better. It doesn't have to be like a ridiculous picture or anything.
And then we'll pick the winner, and then we'll criticize why you need it because you'll be showing us your backpack, and we'll be like, oh yeah, you need a new backpack. So it's good.
So the winner will have their picture meticulously taken apart and judged by Ben and I. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, for sure.
That's fair because I just posted a couple weeks ago. I posted a picture of your backpack from the last trip with all the ridiculous things you had on the outside. It wasn't even on the inside of the pack, but on the outside of the pack. Like that was sufficient to be able to judge your pack. So now you got to be. I don't know. We may not even be able to see your pack, but we'll figure something out. So
yeah.
All right. So send us a picture. You got a week.
Oh,
got a week. All right. That's all I got. You got anything else?
No. Just remember, you can do your own stunts when no one's looking.
Have a great week and God bless.